This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jumbo, 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 everyone. Another beautiful sunny morning. It is officially daylight. As you can see, the sun has come out. Quite quiet where I am, apart from a few sounds of the Sisticola and the Francolin in a distance. And welcome to your morning live safari. Jumbo, jumbo, everyone. Welcome to Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle. This is your morning safari. It's officially daylight, and my aim this morning is to try and find those lionesses we saw yesterday. The weather this morning is quite fair, 16 degrees Celsius, and it's going to be a very warm, very warm day as it looks. There is nothing much around me, but I'm going to drive on and try and find something else. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Send in some questions on Wild Earth TV. Also, you can send in your kids' question at wildearth.tv and also at FC. Remember, I'm joined in by my colleagues in other locations that will be introducing themselves shortly. But for now, I have to start my day and see what I can find, because I had the lions roaring the whole night, exactly where I left them. And so I thought it was good to start there and see, baby, they're there. Sending in your questions, #WildEarth. Looks like it's going to be a very sunny day, and I'm not complaining. We need some sun because it has been raining quite a lot. As I continue on to see if I can find these lionesses, let's take you to one of my other colleagues.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to Juma Private Game Reserve, to your very own live safari from the African wilderness this morning. Sitting right here with such a beautiful antelopes, showing their happiness of coming to this very beautiful open area for their own view around them. My name is Andrew on camera again. I have Neil this morning. Such a stunning, beautiful morning, sitting on about 24 degrees, 75 Fahrenheit, which is going to be one of a scorcher day, I believe, as usual. In this type of the weather in the morning like this, all, antelopes, they mostly like to get around, for their own benefit, happiness. It's quite a way of a start before it gets hot. Switch place where they have been sleeping on, now they're moving somewhere else where they will find the benefit of a grazing area. All mixed up here with some old wildebeest. They all join the crew as they move on. So everybody, we all like to hear from you, comments, questions. you can drop them on Wild Earth, hashtag Wild Earth at FC. Also under the age, kids questions at wildearth.tv. And this is where we're going to be talking to you this morning. Looks like it's going to be hot again. But I came this slightly west from the camp just because of hearing these antelope. There were some of them alarm calling, but it comes and stop. But it's always nice just to see their reactions when you're around them. Some of them are right on top of that little mound for a better view, scan around for safety. It's going to take a moment of silence, listen to all of this sound. Sure, indeed, it's a beautiful morning, everyone. I love morning like this, especially with the sun shining through this kind of early morning. All you feel, it's like you're under a medium kind of like air conditioning system, even though you're outdoor. So I'm going to take just a moment of silence just to listen all birds, or possibly we can hear what these impalas were lambing about. Amazing sound. All I can hear on a far background, it's all of a crested francolin, a work harder, or drink lager bird, which is a cape turtle dove. It's all of different kinds of a small bird as well as a finches, rattling sister callers. Definitely indeed, actually, commenting on these pregnancy or female impalas, while we're still on that subject, there is a lot of heavily pregnant impala female in this group here. And as I approached, I was hoping to see one of the baby running around behind the mother, which not yet. So I'm actually looking forward to see those. It will be so much stunning, beautiful to see all of them successfully giving birth. Yeah, it's going to be a lot of baby impalas running around. It looks like successful group of impalas over here. They probably started this group a while ago. And well developed. Far too much, where you can see there probably more than 40 or 50 of them. Some of them who can't see, they're already past that thicket. And that is actually a very usual way of impalas being in such a group like this. Sometimes up to about 100 animals together. So Neil and myself, we're going to be working around here, checking for anything, possibly elephants. We're going to find for you, everyone.
Good, well, good luck, Andrew. I hope you can see those little ones being born. But good news, I have found the Olololo Pride. They were not very far from where actually we started the show. They haven't moved very much, and looks like they are already trying to find day. So I was very fortunate to have caught them as they headed back towards the bush. You can see that is the pale female. By now, you all know her. And there is Kijana in the bush over there. There he is. Thank you very much. A little bit of marking territory, making sure that he leaves his scent. Remember, that scent marking is very important for Pride members, not only Pride members, but also other intruders, because it sends a lot of message, including who it is. Who is this? Making sure that those claws are taken care of. That is a manicure, by clawing the trees, any excess growth on the talons, on the claws, is, retrieved or removed. So the only useful parts are left in the claws. Mind you, those claws and the strength can rip off that tree a little bit. It does leave some marks. So you can imagine if it was human skin or animal, it will slice through like a razor. So the scent marking is very important. It leaves messages, even telling who exactly it is. And not only that, I have noticed that when an intruder comes by and leaves the scent marks, if other members of the area pride smell that, they will know it's an intruder, and they actually pursue the direction that he left to. I saw that the other day when Olalashe and Kijana lashed at Blondie. Definitely they had picked up the scent from a long way, and they really wanted to get to him as quickly as possible. I'm gonna move forward here slightly so we can see what is happening behind the bush there. Looks like they have a little jungle gym. Yeah, there it is. So it is very important, the scent marking, and it tells who it is. Yeah, these girls are still playful. They're about 3 years old. They just mated for the first time, and that will be actually maybe the last time we see them really playful. They do play, but not very much. But at their age, they're very allowed to play. Very healthy, round looking, so they've been feeding really, really well. They need to do that. The time of plenty is gone. All is left now is the big prey. And being 6 of them, or 5 of them that we see all the time, excluding Bahati's mother, who we haven't seen for quite a while. I hope they are doing okay with Bahati somewhere. They can be able to bring down big prey. So that's why they've come together. It does happen. They know that the situation is going to be tough. Yeah, I don't know if they have a meal here, but they keep going into that ditch and coming out. And we have Olalashe not very far, actually. I don't know if we'll be able to see him. There he is, the king of the Olololo Pride. And that's Kola, the lioness. Olalashe, he is, power to reckon. He is a massive guy, this one. The other day, when he was approaching Fang, I couldn't recognize him because he was so angry. He had his head raised all the time, and almost the mane had been combed, and so he looked so big. I thought it was a different male, but it's actually him. He's at his prime. I would give him a good 7 years, and he's going to rule this area for quite a while because he looks very, very fit and healthy. It's a beautiful morning, very quiet. The birds here haven't woken up. Trying to listen, but can't hear much. Yeah, they haven't woken up, or they have woken up in a different spot. Well, lion manes tend to differ. Some of them are very, very blondie or golden, and some of them are a mixture of black and blonde, and looks like Olalashe is going to have the black and blonde. Does stretch a little bit behind the shoulder when he's at his prime, but it's starting to grow. We're going to be seeing that maybe in another 1 year. It's going to get, it's going to stretch behind the shoulders, slightly to the back. Kijana still got a long way to go. That female lioness is feeling very frisky and playful this morning, but Kijana is not taking any of that. Kijana is fully grown. His body is of a fully grown lion, but his mane is a little bit scruffy, but he is a big boy. I think all of them are trying to find appropriate spot to rest. They haven't decided, but it's not going to be very far from where we are or where they are. That's how quickly sometimes they disappear, like little magicians. Well, after eating a good meal that looks like they've had, they are going to go for up to 6-7 days without eating. But if something is found every day, they will go for it without any hesitation. It is a survival mechanism because they will sorry, could you repeat that question? Never got it really well. Repeat that question. Oh, is that Natalie? Good morning. We say Jambo here in Kenya. Was Fang accepted by Olalashe, or was he, not accepted? By the looks, because the last time you saw him leave these guys, and the last time you saw these two boys leave him, is the last time I saw him also. But due to all the body language and the little experience that I have of these animals, looks like he was pardoned. He was accepted, and he should be with them, but he decided to follow the two lionesses, and I think that's where the mistake lies now, because if he was here, I think he would have been already be part of these guys. He was accepted, but next time they meet him, they will have to give him a little bit of a beating again before they tell him, you need to be with us. But I think he was accepted. Lions don't tolerate other lions that are not part of their pride. But he was very frail, he was very submissive, and According to lion language, it looked like he really begged to be part of this pride, and he was accepted. Yeah, they've started doing what they do best. Sleeping, sleeping, sleeping. I don't blame them. After a good meal, resting is necessary to regain all that lost energy. Maybe whatever they killed was too big. That is Olalashe, sorry Kijana, looking over Olalashe. Well, I'm going to stick here for a little bit. Let's find out what's happening somewhere else.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Buffelshoek. We are sitting here with a Ingwe, and this is in fact Nsele. She's put her head on the grass, but once she pops her head up, you'll visibly see that it's Nsele, the leopardess, who is blind in her right eye. She has no eye there, so she's really, really easy to identify. So it's a wonderful morning here, and it's slightly cooler this morning. Thank goodness last night was not pleasant. My name is Lauren. I do have Kurt on camera, and we're just sitting here admiring this beautiful leopardess. I think she may have a kill nearby. Not entirely sure, but she was up a tree. She's obviously came down, and she's now flat on the grass. It's so lovely to see her. James, Davy and I saw her a long, long time ago when we first started traversing Simbambili. And she's just made her way up into Buffelshoek, and her territory remains a bit of a mystery. She's older. Has she gone nomadic? Has she not? We're not sure. Her movements are slightly off, and she was seen mating with Tungana when I was last here. And she comes from the west. So her territory at this very point, I really don't know. Females move extraterritorially to mate. So she was seen mating with Tungana. So has she moved from the west, moved out of her territory in order to seek a male, the best male? I mean, if you're a leopard and you want to mate, Tungana's a man. Or is she nomadic? Leopards are generally not nomadic. They're solitary. There's a very big difference between the word nomadic and the word solitary. But once they get older, Tungana, at least, has shown nomadic behaviour now. He's still solitary, but he's now showing nomadic behaviour. Is she doing the same? I'm really not sure. But anyway, it's wonderful to have her around. I had her recently at Tlalamba's kill. So she's weaving in and out of all the other leopardesses in the area. Really easy to identify. No vision in that eye whatsoever. It doesn't actually look like there's an eyeball, so I think it was pierced with something. Most likely the claw of another leopard. I think that's probably how she lost her eye, but I'm just speculating. It could also be a really bad decision from a porcupine quill. It could be anything, really. Once you damage that eyeball, you can't repair it. And once you start to display nomadic behaviour, I don't know about Nsele, so let's just use Tungana as the perfect example. If he really is a nomad now and he's not maintaining any territory, he won't be actively calling to advertise his territory, and he won't be actively scent marking to defend his territory. He'll just be sort of moving in and out. He won't be displaying territorial behaviour anymore. And once you stop displaying territorial behaviour, your lifestyle becomes nomadic. So we're going to sit here as long as we can, and hopefully we get a little bit of a better view of this beautiful leopard's face.
Good morning. Welcome to Tswalu Kalahari. My name is Obakeng, and behind the camera here we've got Dave doing a very excellent job. Today we headed a little bit east of the reserve, trying to see what the dam was going to offer, and it looks like we've got some cheetah there. A very interesting thing that's happening. We'll go closer and see, but it looks like mom and the very three young cubs. But with that being said, it looks like the two males have also joined. So it would be very, very interesting to see what the interactions are going to be there. I mean, it's the first time we've seen these boys joining up with a female and youngsters. So let's see what the mystery unfolds, or how the mystery would unfold here. Wow. What do you call a group of cheetah? It looks like those are the two boys walking about. So they still trying to assess. Look at how they smelling about. Just analyzing everything and making sure of their surrounding. One male is gonna drink there. Looks like it. Quite thirsty. Looks like the second boy is going to join him. Maybe not.
Good morning.
The second guy looks very interested in that tree stump behind. Probably picking up some pheromones there. Definitely smelling something there. Head carried very low down, just activating those smelling senses. Mom and three don't look too phased about meeting the boys, so everything seems comfortable for now. No funny business about it. looks like the boys are changing direction. Looking somewhere away from where the female and the cubs are. So let's see what happens. And off they go. So we'll try reposition, go around and see what happens next. We'll try follow. Stick with us. Tom, do I think one of them is the father? Chances are great that it could be, but I am not certain. There's nothing giving me 100% guarantee that it is, but because of the interaction and how mom is so relaxed, chances are very good that one of them is the father. And that's why it's very interesting for us to see this interaction, because it's the first time we've actually seen these boys with the female and the youngsters, but there's any signs of aggression. There's no signs of any, but they're still keeping distance, which is interesting. And also look at how the cubs are viewing them. It's like, I speak under correction, but I would say probably it's the first time also that they're meeting these guys, because there's no affection. They're not rubbing against them. There's no meet and greet. So it's still, we're keeping distance. I know you there. We know you there, but we not actually making any contact. So yeah, it's a very interesting sequence to see. We'll still stick with these guys for a while and see how everything really unfolds here. I think it's going to be a very beautiful morning with these guys and how everything is going to unroll here.
Well, cheetahs are always wonderful in the morning, but here Olalashe was up. And now he's down. They're very close together with Kijana over there. And I think they're doing some male bonding. Every now and then it is necessary for them to be together, away from the females. It is typical lion behavior. And during that time, they spend a lot of time rubbing heads and also scent marking, either tree stumps, bushes, rubbing their heads over bushes, peeing or urinating on tree stumps and bark of trees, and certainly specific type of trees. They will do that as they go along. That asserts and tells everybody that this is their territory. They need to do that, but they have been sticking with the females. Due to that, the females are in season, many of them, and it has been very interesting and also interesting to me to see that there has been some random mating, and sometimes it looks like they're mating for fun, because right now one of the girls has mated 4 times. And for what reason, I don't know. It is a very unusual behavior, because once a female comes into season, normally she will stick with one male while the other waits for up to 7 days. But we have seen matings for almost 21 days now with different females, and some of them actually presenting themselves to one of the males and then mating. I don't know if we'd be able to see that, but this is something I still have to understand more why they're doing this. Sometimes a female will come actually into false estrus, and that is just to, ease the tension that's around by using herself. But she won't conceive, and I was thinking maybe it could have been that in the beginning, but now it's going on too long. I still have to fully come to terms with exactly what's happening. Well, it looks like everybody has taken positions. We have 4 lionesses around here, scattered along that area there. They're hidden somewhere in the long grass, in the bushes. And it looks like they're going to retire for the day around this area. Not sure, is this pride? Well, it is a very beautiful setting that we have here. I'm hoping that the other lionesses could come out onto that mound there. It's higher up, and so we can see them. But, they're in their own place, they're in their own comfort zone. They will do what they want. This is sometimes why we don't see lions every time, because if they're lying in the long grass, you could easily pass them. 1 minute, they could be up, at the next minute down, and if the timing is not right, you might end up the whole day saying there's no lion in the park that you're visiting, whereas, they're just there. It's a good camouflage. Remember that lions are territorial. Different areas have got different sized territories. Here in the Mara, territories are very small, about 10 square kilometers. Some areas where it's dry, like in northern Kenya, Samburu, and Tsavo Game Reserve, and some places in Kalahari, Namibia, and Botswana, territories can range up to 60 square kilometers. And pride members are very few because there isn't enough within that territory. Or they are very big prides because whatever is there needs a lot of energy and power to bring it down, like buffalo and elephant. So it differs from one area to the other. Here, prides can get so big. There is a time we had a pride that had about 40 members. We called the Sun River Pride. They had 5 males. And then we had another pride called the Notches, very famous. They were about 25 to 30. So it differs from one area to the other. Here, we just started out because now it's a new beginning with Olalashe and Kijana, and there are 4 girls. There's more lionesses scattered all over. I'm hoping that we'll see them come back because before Olalashe and Kijana took over, there were about 18 of them. And so they're scattered everywhere, hoping to see that. I think the best thing for me to do is, I know where they are, so I'm going to come and try and find them this afternoon. I'm going to continue on and try and find something else as, we take you to another live location.
A warm welcome to a beautiful day here at and beyond Ngala, and we're looking at one of my favorite animals, the zebra. You can see this one that's now feeding under the tree. But there's a lot of lush green grass, especially after the rain, and a few of the zebra and wildebeest have moved into this area. Now notice with the zebra how it's looking especially on the side, like I said, it's shivering, as well as you can see the ears moving quite intently. And so The reason for that is because of all the flies that are currently around. So I'm going to be your ranger for this morning. I'm Nikki, and on camera we have Owen. So we decided to come down into this open area. So this is the last place we saw the pride of lions, but also the other day we saw some wild dogs moving into the area. So we wanted to come give it a go. But of course, finding the zebra is also such a treat. Now you'll notice the one, he's just probably hidden himself behind that tree, but he doesn't have a tail or half a tail. Oh, you can actually see it. It's the one more to the left. You'll notice it has half a tail. And that might be sometimes with the males when they do fight, they tend to bite one another, especially around the back quarters. And that one probably lost his tail due to that. Or, you never know, maybe those lions we were talking about earlier, as it was trying to catch the zebra, could have bitten off that tail. But with him, more important, just getting some grass. You'll notice there's a lot of weeds there as well, so he's probably just moving the weeds to the side and then getting some of that lush grass. I love the stripe pattern on this particular one. Do you notice that it almost looks like the front part is a lot cleaner, the white and the black, but if you go towards the hind, you'll start seeing a more of a yellowish off-white color. And then those shadow stripes that starts around the back leg all the way down. It's really nice to see. You can hear some jackals calling in the distance. So maybe let's carry on, see if we can head across to where the jackal is calling. Now, just to give you an idea with the pride, so the road that we're on now at the moment, it's a north-south road, and so the last tracks that we had of the lions were just on a road on this side, but heading up in the same direction. So we're going to check these open areas off to our right, and hopefully be able to see that pride this morning. But of course, being open areas, there's always a chance of cheetah. I have seen some cheetah here with young cubs, and also wild dogs. Nice open area for that.
Good luck finding cheetah. Come across such a beautiful young bull elephant. He decided to come right close to our vehicle. You get attracted, possibly, maybe it's all about grasses. And we came in this position here. We've been hearing a lot of other communication, probably other member of elephants around. Brave looking elephant, just close to our vehicle, right there in front of us. But he's probably just gonna avoid us. When I'm saying young bull, it could be anything from 20 years old. Since they don't really follow their mother anymore, or group of females, or will keep, getting used to always separate from the females, only find on their own. Safari Kitty, true. So that was very close to our vehicle. So many elephants, not all of them can do that. Some of them, they don't really get close to the vehicle. But I think it's all different behavior or individual animal. Some of these or those usually grow up around the vehicles. They find the vehicles sometimes as a visitor or company of every day. promise you, if we were lions here, we would be killed already because they don't really tolerate the dangerous animals. Looks like he's gonna march slowly towards that direction we had the other one calling not long ago. But it's also when they all separate apart like this, and they all get to know where the other friends are, and this is all communication they do happening every now and then, and they find quite a lot comfortable when they're far apart. They're all able to take it easy. So I'm gonna check one of the pens here if there is more elephant.
Our animal's not walking off or grazing. She's not a grazer, that's for sure, but she's very sleepy. And for those of you who maybe have never seen Nsele before, or you're not too familiar with her, she's also quite new to us in this sort of section of the Sabi Sands that we traverse. And she was born in early 2009. So when I say she's an older leopardess, she's approaching 12. At the turn of next year, she'll be approaching 12. So she's just sort of 2 years behind Tandy. And she stood up for us. She did move. And you can really see that sort of saggy underside, the sign of a low, sort of an older leopardess. And her mother is Salexe. I think that's how you say the name. Salexe. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, but that female leopardess is also the mother of Tiani. So Nsele here is half-sister with Tiani. Tiani's father is Tingana, Nsele's father is Tyson. So they don't have the same father, but they are related, half-sisters. And Nsele actually means ruthless or no sympathy. And I think that's quite fitting, considering her right eye gives her a very fierce look, shall we say. A unique look. So she's a really, really interesting leopardess. And as I mentioned, leopardesses can move extraterritorially. And what that means is they choose to leave their territory. And it's a choice. They know exactly what they're doing. And they'll know exactly where they're entering. I always talk about that sort of odor fence. It's not absolute. The odor fence from a scent mark doesn't mean that no one else can come in. It's not impenetrable. It's just there to slow an intruder down. It's there to leave a message. Hey, you choose to cross this line, you're coming into my territory. I am here. I am the dominant male or the dominant female, and you are choosing to come in. So it just sort of slows an intruder down, and it essentially makes them nervous. You know, like, oh my goodness, I'm about to cross into Tandy's territory here. I need to be careful. It's a warning. Doesn't mean that leopards can't cross into one another's territories. And I guess Nsele's done just that. We had her on the eastern side of Simbambili. We've had her at Sydney's Dam. We've had her all throughout Bufusuk. I'm not completely sure if she's been seen on Torchwood. I couldn't vouch for that, but she's moving. And I've not spent long enough with her to see if she's showing territorial behaviour. But it's fascinating. Did she just move to mate? Was it successful? Has Tingana got another litter in there? Who knows? I didn't catch that name, but you're asking about the population of leopards. And that's a funny one for us out here in the Sabi Sands because we see leopards every single day. We are so lucky out here. They're very habituated, and there's a thriving population here. But when you look at leopards globally, they're still listed as vulnerable by the IUCN. The populations of leopards are still not stable. But in this area, they do thrive. So it sort of gives us this illusion that the populations of leopards across the world are healthy. But they're not. By IUCN, they're still listed. That's a global population. doesn't necessarily always take into account the subspecies. There's 9 different subspecies of leopards across the world, but I don't believe it's increasing globally. I'm sure on the IUCN website, if you want to check it out, it's iucnredlist.org. It's fantastic. You put in any species, from a clam to a mussel to a mosquito to a leopard, and it brings up data. Now, they're still doing a lot of work on it. It involves a lot of information, collecting data from across the world, but it's a really fantastic tool. And IUCN stands for the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. And leopards are still listed as vulnerable, and it's decreasing, I believe. We are just very, very lucky to see leopards out here the way we do. Other than Mulwati, who's not any of our favourites, I don't think. They're all very relaxed, very, very habituated. I personally believe it's a good thing. I think when an animal flees from a car, it causes them a certain amount of stress. Now, cars should always respect, they should always keep their distance. Here in the Sabi Sands, we only allow 3 vehicles at one time, unless it's a sensitive sighting like cubs or a birth or a really injured animal. There'll be rules, there'll be sort of exceptions made. But otherwise, limited vehicles, limited game drive times, and that's all to sort of give the animal space. But I personally feel habituation to a vehicle is a really good thing. You don't want to cause an animal stress in any way, shape or form just by driving through their habitat. I spent some time in Tswalu, as you know, and it just makes me realize how lucky we really are with the leopards here. Look, yes, they do. Nomadic females do have cubs if they are still sort of, thriving and healthy and reproductively active. But yes, they do. They've just chosen not to be territorial. And I really don't know if Nsele is nomadic. I'm just speculating through her behaviour and her movements. I don't think anyone really knows what's going on with her. But they can still have cubs. She could be pregnant right now for all we know. Meeting with Mr. Tinganana. The big banana is still going strong. But yes, they can. They'll obviously save a lot of energy on not being territorial. Territorial behaviour through scent marking, through calling, through patrols is actually very energetically costly. So a leopardess has got to be strong enough, got to keep her energies up, hunt a lot. Because warm-blooded mammals use up a lot of energy in hunts alone. So they've got to eat a lot, just like Miss Tlalamba. Eat, keep your energy high, then you can be the dominant leopardess that you want to be. I'm curious about this cat, though, Nsele, I really am. We will stay here a little bit longer. I know she's flat, but I'm hoping she'll get up at some point and we can all admire this beautiful leopardess.
From a leopard to an animal that often follows leopards, especially if they have kills up in the tree, and they'll be able to move underneath and wait for some of the scraps to fall down. But on our pursuit to follow and look for these lions, we found these 2 hyenas in this open area. Now you'll notice the one that's lying down with his head pointing towards us, but the other one looks like it might be a youngster that is suckling at the moment. So see, you can just see the ears above this other one, and then the rest of the body goes off to the left. You might even see the tail now and again flicking close to this one's face. But it is warming up, and it might not be too long before they eventually get up and start moving either under shade or maybe towards the den side. Be interesting to see if it is just one lying down at the back or maybe a youngster that's just suckling, as we mentioned earlier. And often, especially on cold mornings in the winter time, it's so nice to be able to drive these open areas because you sometimes find a lot of hyenas lying down and just enjoying that first bit of the mornings. And also by being in an open area, they can also listen out for if there's any commotion. Like let's say if a leopard made a kill, or even if there's wild dogs moving through the area or commotion from lions, then it's like they will be able to pick up that and then move in that direction. I think these ones probably one of her younger cubs was moving with her, and eventually they decided to go and lie down. And of course the cubs can suckle up to a year from the mum. It looks like that one could be close to a year old. You can just hear some of the hornbills in the background calling, as well as even the distant tree line. We can hear what sounds like round hornbills. I nearly thought for a stage it was a lion calling. See that doo-doo, doo-doo, doop, doo-doo, doo-doo, doop. The thing that I love about hyenas is often how clever they are, especially what I've noticed from some of the hyenas within this area. Whenever there's a pack of wild dogs, so let's say even now, if there was a pack of wild dogs that moved through this area, you'll just see this hyena immediately getting up. But he won't go too close, or she won't go too close. She might just stay at quite a distance, just waiting and seeing where they're off to. Or even if there's a leopard, they'll follow the leopard because they know maybe it's already made a kill, or maybe it's going to make a kill. And as soon as that animal makes a kill, or if there's a kill, they'll go in and try and steal it. And with the pride, though, it might be something different, because if she would get too close to the pride, there's a good chance that they might kill her and that youngster. So she'll try and avoid them. And now and again, if the pride has gone down and settled in the heat of the day, she might just quickly go grab, if there's something to be like that she can steal, grab it and then run away. But the chances are very likely, if all the members of the pride are there, that they'll keep their distance. See the youngster with all the flowers bothering, just flicking that tail to get rid of it. The colorization on this hyena is quite interesting. Like I've noticed quite a bit of golden brown color, especially around the back, but also a bit of gray around the face. It might be an oldish hyena.
Well, we have a beautiful dry tree here full of birds. Some of them are very, very colorful. We'll take a look and tell you who they are. And some of them are very rare. Like we're starting with who is here. Look at that. We have to the left there is a violet back starling. Violet back starling. if the light catches his back, you see the violet color, really bright and beautiful. There are two of them, the two to the left. We have a few more. Did you see that color? It's just amazing. One thing about all these birds they have in common, look at that color, is they're seed eaters. We have a yellow-vented bulbul, the one top right. And then below there we have African green pigeon, very colorful also, quite medium-sized dove. And then to the right there we have some more pigeons, African green pigeons, and then we have a brown parrot. Count the three in a line, and then there's two facing one another with a yellow spot on the shoulder. That is the brown parrot. Yeah, so these three, and then we have a blue-eared glossy starling who's a bit bossy. Saw him fight off a green pigeon. Yeah, I don't know what's the reason for them to be on this tree. I assume, there could be either a small cat there, or a snake, and that's why they're all here trying to find and tell everybody.
Guys, the interaction here is starting to unfold. The two boys and the mom are just mingling about. We're struggling to actually keep up with them. I'm just gonna try reposition quickly and see what else is happening here. Looks like they're getting a little bit interested in the carbs, these boys, so it's gonna be an interesting one. Look at how the cubs are just behind mom there, and mom is just trying to fend the boys in the thick there. Look at that. This is quite interesting. So it looks like the boys are actually trying to cut the mom, or the female cheetah, but she's giving a bit of teeth there, just showing that she's not interested at all. Lynn, would the mother fight the males to protect the cubs? Definitely. The cubs are still a little bit independent on her, so it's up to her to make sure that they do survive. And she will definitely tell the males that she's not ready for any interaction whatsoever. So the boys would be interested in courting, and with the cubs being as small as what they are, she's not ready for that, because remember, these cubs would not be at the age where they can actually start hunting for themselves. They're still very inexperienced. So she has to take them through all of that before she would be actually receptive and accepting courtship from any males. And that's why she's showing a lot of teeth like she is. And there's actually a lot of sounds. Unfortunately, we cannot hear those sounds, but you every now and then you can actually hear the growling and the sharing of and the baring of teeth, just to the males, and the youngsters are just on her flank. And also look at that. So the boys are just trying to push the cubs away, saying, guys, we we want to get to mom, and they're not getting that also. So as the story unfolds, yes, mom has to really play a protective role for the sake of survival of these youngsters. Look at that. And you can see also by how she's gone into a very thick area. It's also trying to say, leave me alone, you know, hiding away. Look at how thick that is. And she's gone just underneath there. But these boys are very persistent, obviously. Bella, would young or would male cheetah kill the cubs? Yes, that is definitely a possibility that could happen. In most cases, what happens with cats or these big cats, if the mating opportunity is not there and they keep being persistent as they are, and the cubs get in their way, usually the male would actually kill these cubs, and what that does is it would stop the female lactating. Obviously, the female stopping to lactate, it means that her body or her pheromones or her hormones, would be actually starting to tell the body that she needs to actually get back into heat, and that's why actually male cats, cheetah, lion, do that. Killing the cubs is just so making sure that the female can get into oestrus a little bit quicker by stopping to lactate. So at this age, these cubs would be introduced to milk and not lactating or not suckling as much. So there is a chance that they could still kill them at this age, but usually that would happen when they're still a little bit younger than what they are now. So yeah, this is a very interesting interaction to see. I mean, it can always go either way in the bush, where you think everything is all set and well, and then next thing it takes a flip to the next extreme. So let's see how it all unfolds. But a very good question there about males killing cubs. It's a very common phenomena in the wild. Looks like it's settling again, but the males are still very keen on the female. It's all a patience game. The males will keep pushing and testing the female, waiting out a little bit, and it'll keep on going like that. It could go on for hours, trying to pursue. This is very, very cool behavior, guys. You don't get to see this very often. I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Sadly, our sleepy cat, well, still sleeping. She's probably slept all day yesterday and only started to move when it got cool. She's been active all night, and she's found the perfect shaded spot to continue snoozing. The life of a leopard. Now, going back on the sort of scent marking topic, most animals, whether they live in social groups or whether they're solitary or nomadic, they will sort of communicate their presence in some way or form. And this is to alter the behavior of others. So, for example, I'm going to leave my scent here to stop you coming in, or I'm going to do this to stop you, taking over my territory or mating with my ladies. There's a reason behind it. You're going to perform a specific behavior to alter the behavior of others. And I read yesterday something really fascinating, because I'd never actually thought of it like this before. Most communication acts are derived from other kinds of behavior. So, for example, a leopard sawing is obviously a territorial behavior. Respiratory movements. So it's a normal biological function that they're utilizing to saw. The same as scent marking. It's just urination, really. They're just urinating. Okay, they maybe don't release all of the liquid in their bladder, and they maybe do the scoosh, scoosh movement, as we love to say. But really, it's just urination. And even when they leave scent behind when they defecate, again, it's just a normal biological function, defecation. Some organisms do it through their thermoregulation processes, like vultures, and they'll leave things behind from just defecating. It's just normal behavior, actually. I'd never thought of it like that they just sort of alter slightly to perform territorial behavior in order to communicate. I don't know why I'd never thought of it like that before. And there's also something called intention movements when it comes to communication. And basically, a great example is a robin. So say there's a robin feeding or drinking, and you decide to walk towards it. It's going to stop and look at you. It's going to be a little bit weary. What are you doing? And then as you walk closer, it may even start to crouch and elevate its wings. Now, this is to show you that it has the intention to fly. So it's an intention behavior to communicate to you that it's going to fly away if you walk any closer. But it's not actually flying away just yet. It's just trying to communicate that to you. Just a normal behavior by moving its wings. And then if you walk closer, it's probably going to fly. So the intention has turned into the actual behavior. Whereas if you walk away, the robin will probably just put its wings back down and continue feeding. So there's many different ways that animals can communicate. Respiratory movements, urination, defecation, thermoregulation movements, and intention movements. Fascinating. And it's all from behavior that they already have. They're not really doing anything different. They're just using it in a way to communicate. I thought that was fascinating. I wonder if we can get a temperature update from FC, because I am starting to feel like we're in for another huge hot spell. The temperature this morning was 24 degrees Celsius, 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so that's a lot cooler than we had yesterday, but I wonder what it is right now. I'll be with you in 2 minutes. 27 degrees. Oh no, I'm also getting 29 from the weather app. I never know what's more reliable, but either way, it's got a lot hotter since it was this morning. Can you see that impala over there? There's an impala. I think it's a ewe. Oh, it's walking away. Completely unaware that there's a leopard here. I think it's walked away. Oh, no, there you go. Yes, it's a ewe. When you see ewes on their own right now, without the herd, it could mean that they're about to give birth. or they've given birth and they're alone with their offspring. I don't see any other impalas. Unfortunately, this is buffet time for the predators. I'm going to have to get back on that radio. I'm afraid I'm the only one in the sighting. So before we hand it over, we need to get people in. Okay, you're asking, does the colour of a leopard's fur change as they age? Not really. I mean, Nselle's 12, and she won't have changed much. When they're a cub, like Tandy's little one, or even younger, these sort of rosettes, if you like, are not so well defined. They look very fuzzy, and all the cameramen say it's very hard to film a leopard cub because they always look like they're out of focus. But they're actually not out of focus. They're just very fuzzy. It's not well defined. They've not grown into their adult form. So it does slightly change from a cub to an adult. It gets a little bit darker as well, but I mean, it doesn't change colour as they get older past that. Abel, if you're looking for Nsele, she's on Dover's Road. You'll see us if you just drive along the road.
Yeah, I want you to heading east towards parallel
Copy, you'll see me. I don't actually think she has a kill. She was up a tree, but I don't think there was any kill. And of course, she has binocular vision just like we do. So even if we lost eyesight in one of our eyes, we can still function. We can still see. So it's not really hindered Nselle's life in any way. She maybe had to slightly adapt. But she's still a fantastic huntress, and she's 12 years old and surviving and thriving. So we're going to position ourselves in the shade now and sit here a little bit longer.
Well, we have some beautiful giraffes here, busy having their breakfast. It looks like they have a specific bush that they're feeding on, and they love it. This is the Maasai giraffe. Nice to see the color contrast between the three. One extreme right is female, but the rest two are males. You can see by looking at the horns, but the color differ from one to the other. Sometimes they say it's age, but I differ with that. I say it's just genetic. Some are lighter skinned and some are darker skinned, and I would say that is the cause. The Maasai giraffe is the only kind of giraffe we find here in the Masai Mara, although we're very lucky to have about 3 species of the total 7 species found in Africa, and namely reticulated giraffe found up north, and the Rothschild giraffe, which is very endangered. Of course, all of them are very endangered, and when you look at them, you will forget that there's only about 100,000 left in the whole world. 100,000. So this is an animal that faces different kind of challenges, and the main challenge is actually, habitat loss. It's losing a lot of its prime land where there is enough to browse, because it is a browser. If we were to be left with plenty of plains, this animal will cease to exist because it feeds on leaves only. It's a very good prime estate that they are in right now, full of different types of shrubs, and they do very well in this kind of habitat. There is also that big guy to the right there. He's quite dark. So he's another one of those that has been lucky to become dark. Look at him. They have amazing eyesight, and they always stop and stare at you to to tell you, I can confirm that I can see you. Yeah, you see, when they bend down, their neck is not as tall. Can't reach the ground at all. That's why they have to splay their eggs, making them very, very vulnerable. Remember, the only predator that can kill a fully grown giraffe is lions. For defense, first of all, they will run away 60 kilometers an hour. They can do that. But also can kick with both hind and forequarters, and it can be a very lethal kick. Yeah, recently we've had lots of short rains, and so I think the fresh shoots are very delicious, and they are enjoying. You can see that they are attacking that bush. They're loving it. The one way to identify this particular species of giraffe is looking at their jigsaw puzzle or patches. That is how you identify this species. At full height, 18, 19 feet tall, in addition to the neck and tongue stretched out, they can reach up to around 21 feet. That's very, very tall. We do see journeys like this of more than 5 or 6. At the most here you can see about 17. Looks like they're coming towards the road. Maybe they want to cross the road or either go to the other side. It's just beautiful to see them doing. See what I was saying, how they spread their feet so they can reach the ground. Makes them really vulnerable. Looks very strenuous. Do giraffes regurgitate? Yes, they do. They regurgitate, they chew their cud. The ruminants, and to fully utilize all the nutrients that they take. the certain material, the cellulose in the leaves, need to be broken down. So they store it in the reticulum, and then it's taken to the other chambers after it's properly utilized. It's regurgitated first, and then it's chewed. Everything is properly chewed and utilized. Then it's taken to the rumen, and then from the rumen it's taken to the omasum, and then from the omasum it's taken to the obasum, and then from there it is 100% utilized, ready to come out as pellets, small balls. Most animals that ruminate, like antelopes, all of them drop their droppings in pellets, small balls, and giraffe does that. Yeah, here you can tell that there's a bit of skin below the chin where the neck touches the head. That is an addition. It helps, when they stretch their neck upwards so that they don't strain the skin. Acts really well. Long eyelashes protecting the eye from leaves getting into it. And the horns, which are not true horns. The prehensile lips, you see them, for grabbing and picking leaves off the bushes. Pointed muzzle going inside the bushes without causing too much trouble, pushing the bush away, so they are able to penetrate in. All adapted to browsing. He looks like he loves the road, and he's got all the right to do that because it is very clear and safe, away from predators, and also you can see all around. So see at the bottom there, it's got socks. It's another way of telling if it's Maasai or not. They have the socks from the ankle downwards. They might look very thin, the legs, but that is solid bone, so hard, it's like steel. Yeah. Yes, those markings differ from one giraffe to the other. They say no two giraffes have got similar body patterns. He said young ones can inherit their mother's patterns. I would love to see that one day. I'm still looking very keenly. Looks like he's not regurgitating yet, chewing his cud, because typically and normally you'll see it get pushed back, and there's a bulge on the neck and it goes very fast up and down. He is thinking either to continue or stay, so amazing. This fully grown one can weigh up to around 1,700 kilos. And it's just, big animal. Well, it's just such a beautiful sight, but I'm gonna move on. Let's take you to another live location.
What a beautiful sight you had there in the Masai Mara. A very warm welcome to you from and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. As you can see, we found a small little family of warthog this morning. They're just simply walking around and slowly feeding. It's quite funny, as you can see some dung beetles coming in there. My name is Kim, and behind the camera we have Craig, and we will be with you this morning. So, as I was saying, the dung beetles, I don't know if you can see a few of them flying, and it was quite funny. Just before we came to you live, we saw one of them dropping some dung, and it's amazing. I think I've already counted 8 dung beetle flying in. You can see another one coming in. Just already smelling that dung and coming to land and create their little dung balls. It's quite a sweet little family dynamic that we have here. If you can see with the warthogs, you've got one small one in the middle, and then 2 larger ones, one off to the left and one off to the right. And if you have a look at those bellies on the larger warthogs, You can see that they're very, very round, and you can actually see that they've got very swollen teats as well. So those are two females, fully grown females, and they are getting ready to give birth. You know, yesterday we spoke a little bit about the impala birthing season, which is we're in at the moment. And the other two animals in Phinda that we have that have a very distinctive breeding season or birthing season is these warthogs and also wildebeest. So probably around maybe another month, we often find that the warthogs tend to give birth a little bit later than the impala. So, you know, probably around mid-December, January, that's when we'll start seeing young little piglets. And what the implication for this young one is that once its mother gives birth to a new litter of piglets, it's going to be kicked out, and it's going to have, well, she is going to have to be on her own, an independent young warthog. What's quite sad is you can see that there's just one warthog, and there's actually two females next to her. There was a third one here as well. So it does show you that they do have sort of a high predation rate. I don't know if you've ever been in the bush and you've noticed how lions and leopards in particular pay a lot of attention to warthogs. And I've always wondered because, you know, if we have a look at those tusks, you can see that they're quite formidable weapons. They're very sharp, and especially how low to the ground they are, they can inflict damage in quite vital parts of an animal's anatomy, you know, coming up from below, getting them under the legs, creating quite serious injuries. And more often than not, in fact, when you see a predator with a hole or some sort of gouge mark, it's most often from a warthog, because they do viciously defend themselves. So it's quite a formidable opponent, and there's not a whole lot of meat that the predators gain from hunting them. So it leads me to the conclusion that they must just taste very nice, because we do see a whole lot of warthog kills. And in fact, I've also watched lions and leopards, you know, that aren't on the hunt. They've watched other animals that are fairly good hunting opportunities and sort of left them. But the second a warthog walks past, their interest is piqued. Even if it's a lot further away, a lot more difficult to try and catch, they all try and actually hunt it. And, I mean, the evidence is clear here. You know, we've got one piglet amongst three female warthog. And, you know, normally they have, you know, anywhere between 4 and 6, really. They can have a few less than that. But you see quite big litters of piglets for each female. And we've only got one surviving through the year. So it shows you how many they would have lost to predation. You know, that's pretty much the main cause. There wouldn't be much illness or anything else that's caused these piglets to die off. You can hear the hardy-duck ibis in the back. We've actually got some lovely bird calls happening in the scene. Here's that pygmy, which is a red-chested cuckoo, also one of the migrants that's just come back. Yeah, crested francolin in the background as well. Cape turtle dove, Cape turtle. If we have a look at these warthog, you can also see what's quite interesting is right on the top of their backs. You can see there's some very dried mud there. And you know, that would have most likely yesterday when we were speaking about how hot it was. I'm sure these warthogs would have very cleverly found a lovely mud wallow and covered themselves in mud, because you can see that mud is very dry, so it could even be from yesterday. And perhaps that's why we can see the mud that's left over on the top. They most likely had their whole bodies covered in mud, and what's happened is they've just managed to get a bit of that mud off. As they climb into their burrow, they'll scrape off the sides. As they roll around a little bit or lie down, mud will fall off. As they brush past bushes, it'll scrape off. But the last remaining mud will be on the top of their backs. You know, more difficult spot for that mud to fall off of. So that's why we're probably seeing a bit of mud. You know, it's not that they did a little backflip into the mud pile and then climbed out. It's just that the rest of the mud's actually fallen off. can hear southern boo-boo as well in the background. An emerald spotted wood dove. Oh, there's a purple crested turaka. I don't know if we got that in the frame. Beautiful purple crested turaka that's just flown past. So in fact, if you have a look at that tree that the warthogs are walking towards, you can actually see a bit of mud scraped off on the side. And that's the great example of a rubbing post, which, these warthogs might have also used to actually scrape off the mud. I don't think these warthogs have used this particular one because that mud looks, quite a lot. Oh, you can actually see it's doing that exactly what I was talking about. It's got a bit of mud left on the top of the back and it's now scraping it under the log. There we go. A little adjustment, try to get off that last bit of mud that's left on the top. And it's quite an interesting reason because we always talk about the mud being there to cool down these animals. And it's a very effective way to cool them down. You can imagine in the heat, everyone just wants to go and lie in a mud bath or in a pool. That's exactly what the animals do. But it also has another benefit in that when that mud sort of gets scraped off on a tree trunk or something that or a rock or any sort of surface they can use to rub it off. It creates quite a bit of friction. Those sand particles will rub against the skin, and that friction motion, it acts like an exfoliant. Like those scrubs that you use in the shower to sort of get rid of any difficult dirt or to smooth your skin out a little bit. It's the same with the warthogs, and that's very effective against parasites, like in particular ticks. You can imagine if a tick's sort of clamped on and there's a whole lot of mud that's rubbing against it, and that friction is what will actually pull it off. So that's another benefit for them to be mud wallowing. You can see that one warthog in the far distance there is busy wagging its tail just like a little dog. So you can imagine there's a lot of flies that are hanging around there. It's actually quite interesting. I don't think I've ever noticed a warthog using its tail to swat flies. You normally see them lying down, pretty straight, just like the one off to its right. Or the characteristic antenna-like motion when they run through the grass and those tails go directly upright. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave these warthogs to carry on feeding. They're slowly, walking into a more dense area. We won't have a great view of them. And we're going to go and see what else has been found this morning.
Welcome back to Tswalu. It looks like the female here has kind of won for now. Managed to push the two boys out of that thicket. And she's got her back just in that thicket, just saying no to the boys. And you can see they still keeping close proximity, not giving up. The one is just in front of the cubs there, and the cubs seem to have also just relaxed a little bit, but every now and then there's a bit of baring of teeth. Obviously they've seen what mom can do, and now they also trying to practice it, but it's not the smartest move. Let's see what happens. Looks like they're gonna go further in, closer to mom. That's a better option. Safety comes first. Now she's well in that thicket, not taking any chance. Look at how hidden she is. But also just keeping an eye on the boys. Like, I can see you. Patience is really being tested on either side. This one boy seems interested at the watering hole. Something might be approaching, or maybe heard something. Dr. Rocky Balboa, can the calves run as fast as the mother? Not as yet. Remember, mom's leap, or a full-grown cheetah's leap at full speed would be about 9 meters. And these calves, at the age that they are, they almost a third or a little bit more than a third of mother's full length. So obviously having to run, their stride would not be as big as mothers. They'll keep up, but it doesn't mean that they would be at the same speed, just because of how big they are, meaning that for one mother's full leap, they would have to maybe do 2 or 3 of those, but still keeping at close proximity of the mother. And you would see when they have to escape from anything, she would kind of let them go ahead, and she would kind of deal with whatever threat. In the case of these boys being the threat, she would try lead them to like a dense area while delaying behind and dealing with the boys, because she can actually deal with the boys. But if it's something bigger, like maybe, let's say, hyenas or even bigger, then in that case they have to run for dear life, because then they could actually kill her also. So yes, in the sense of speed, they'll try keep up, but they have not really yet attained that full speed that cheetahs can actually attain. Let's see what happens here with this youngster. Look how careful he's walking there. Just avoiding any tension. And that's why they just do it as careful as what he was doing there. A reaffirmation from mom there. You can see getting closer and rubbing heads there. Real, how is she protecting the cubs if the cubs are lying between her and the males? It's been a story unfolding. So if you look at how it started, at one point, she was actually putting the cubs right behind her, and they've moved from one tree to the next. And also, these cubs have kind of now got the gist where they've been giving the males a bit of teeth, like what mom has been doing. And that's where actually it can happen that these males kill the cubs, because they think they can actually give a bit of attitude and a bit of teeth, and sometimes that's when tables turn and the males just show their dominance and put a paw in or even a jaw in, and that's how these cubs get killed. But it looks like mom now has actually controlled and stabilized the situation, because these boys were right in that thicket and pushing the female, but she stood her ground and kind of pushed them out of that thicket. So in this case, yes, she is winning and she has made her statement, but it doesn't mean that it's set on stone that it's going to be like that. If these boys continue pursuing, they might go back into that thicket and tables can turn anytime. Anything can happen. So, and that's what makes it so interesting, that we stick around and see what happens, because I mean, nature is just unpredictable in that way. You can almost not be sure of what's going to happen next. So a very good question there about why they're still in between. But as it stands now, you'll see, I mean, even when the cubs move a little bit and go to mom, they still do it very carefully, because they don't want to stir any commotion, because they know stirring commotion could mean that they're on the line, or their lives are on the line. And by the time mom stands and try to fend, it could be too late. So everything, it's like skating on thin ice. Everything is just done so delicately. Look at that. Exactly what we're talking about. Just being very careful, and I'm gonna go to mom. Yep. Right. We'll still stick around and let's see what other properties have for us.
Completely agree. Nature is completely unpredictable. You never know what's around the corner. But someone's put their head up. She's hot and bothered. And I'm talking about me. No, in Sally here, it's finally moved because, well, her shade disappeared quickly as the sun is rising. And you can see, just like Tandy the other day, she's panting heavily. Now, we probably will leave her in a bit. I've got a spotted eagle-owl chick to check on. But it's nice just to see her pop her head up. And just touching on what I mentioned earlier about intention movements, and use the example of a robin, but really it can apply to any organism. And if any animal, from a fish to a crab to a leopard to a dragonfly, performs a movement to deter another, and it works, it's successful, the other organism, whether it's the same species or a different species, backs away, then natural selection, which I was talking about the other day, is going to favor that intention movement. So sort of through the process of natural selection, it's going to favor that modification in behavior, maybe even exaggerate it. So maybe the saw, and I'm saying maybe here, developed from a leopard getting sort of really annoyed, trying to deter another leopard and breathing really heavily. And maybe that slowly along the lines of evolution developed into a saw. And I'm just speculating. And basically, the evolutionary process in which an act, any sort of act from an individual, became reliable and worked as a signal to others, have actually named it. And the term is ritualization. So you have natural selection, which is always at work. Then you have sexual selection, which I went into the other day, which is obviously more important when it comes down to male and females. And any behavior that's modified, like a saw, a scent mark, a squish, squish, anything that has developed from a normal biological function over time to sort of act as a deterrent in any form of communication interspecies or intraspecies is called ritualization. I actually never knew that before. And I wonder if, maybe that's how the saw did come about. Obviously, leopards are big cats in the Panthera genus, and they can vocalize. That's why a cheetah, like the ones at Tswalu, are not really classified as big cats. They're known as lesser cats, which I really don't agree with. But they are in their own genus. They're not Panthera. They don't have the same voice box. and therefore they can't project those deep, loud vibrations far and wide like a lion can and a leopard can. And I wonder if that's how it evolved. Maybe a male leopard was very angry to see another male leopard and started breathing really, really heavily. And maybe over time it developed into a sow. Who knows? I do not know. But I'm speculating that could be it. A normal biological function like breathing worked and it evolved into the sow. I have to say I'm very surprised at this question. I'm not sure how I would know that. I do not know the resting heart rate of a leopard, I'm afraid. Google might know that, but unfortunately Lauren does not. I mean, Nsele's resting right now, but she's panting heavily. She's hot, she's uncomfortable, temperatures are soaring. I imagine her heart rate will be a little bit higher right now than it would be at night time when she's still resting, but she's not battling with the heat. I am sorry, Jane. I do not know the resting heart rate of a leopard. But that panting will sort of cause more energy to be used. She's working here, he's working here to fend off the heat and cool her down. Thermal regulations at play, and therefore I imagine her heart rate would be just slightly higher than it would be if it was much cooler or nighttime, for example. If anyone has that little nugget of information, you're welcome to share it with me. Okay, we are going to leave Nsele now, let her sleep, and we are going off to Sebwick's house.
Well, here I have a troop of baboons, and they have left the safety of the forest. They're out in huge numbers, big, small, and even medium-sized. They're all here. It is a complete troop of baboons. How beautiful is this? The big ones definitely are males. The medium-sized one, females, and the young ones could be male or female. There is a lot of action here. Yeah, there is copulation, as you can see. Yeah, there is eating, there is grooming, there is play. It is just one big baboon village, happy to be out and about. Remember, these guys are omnivores, and they feed on plenty of plant matter, fruit, grass, you name it, and also they're very good meat eaters. They will feed on whatever they can find. Could be grasshoppers, could be, mice, could be small bad eggs. And leaving the safety of the forest, already they have sent a few sentries far ahead to make sure that the road is clear, and so they can leave without any issues or problem. In case of any threat, there is one bark, and it is particular in the voice on how it sounds that tells everybody danger, and everybody scampers, runs to the nearest tree. These guys are equipped with amazing eyesight. The sense of hearing is also very acute. Smell is not as much. Very dangerous if cornered. Big males would gather and actually combine efforts to form a formidable, gang that can attack anything from leopard, hyena, even humans. They will attack you. They have very big or long canines, about 10 centimeters long, that can inflict serious injury. These guys, fully grown, they can weigh up to 30 kilos. 30 kilos. So they're quite big. I would say this is just the half size of the whole troop. I did see half of them go down towards the river, either to drink or maybe They were playing close to the beach of the Mara River. Remember, this is live. It's coming from the Masai Mara, the Mara Triangle, East Africa. It is a morning out for the baboons. If you look at this guy, if you look on his cheeks, yeah, not very friendly with the vehicle. I don't know if it's the same guy, could be different one. Yes, the earlier one had some, they have cheek pouches on the sides of their mouths. In case they feel threatened or they feel like it's not safe, they can actually fill up the cheek pouches on either side of the cheeks. And the cheek pouches, once they're full, they can actually fill their tummies. So the equivalent to one tummy when they're filled, they filled both, cheeks. There is a newborn, very new, pink ears, pink face. Yeah. Yes, Dina, thank you for your comment about them. Well, it's pure luck to have caught them out in the open like this. Yeah, this guy, definitely, he's a boy. Approximately maybe 1 year. Baboons will live up to around 30 years. And he's going to be a big guy, this one. The main predator is mainly lion and leopard. Those are the two predators that go for them. Otherwise, they're very safe from most other predators. They're very wary about me. They are not used to vehicles. Yeah. And so they're being very, very careful how they pass the road. They go in front of the vehicle. Yeah, those are big males. Definitely. You can tell the behavior of the little ones. Lynn Jumbo, can a baboon kill a giraffe? Definitely not. Giraffe is too big, and the baboon doesn't prefer giraffe. They're too big, and actually too big to think about. Yeah, that is riding jockey, enjoying a ride on mommy's back. Look at that. It's very much like riding a horse. Look at that. Just need a leash now. Yay! Yeah, down we go. That's enough. Well, whenever they don't feel safe, they normally jump on their mom's back, like we saw. They are on a mission, these guys. This is a biggie. He's a big boy. I would say he's one of the big guys who would stand for anything to protect, the troop. Sean, is there a dominant male that's leading the group? No. The ratio of males to females is the same, and it is just about whoever leads, leads everybody. There is nothing like dominancy here. Of course, during mating, females mate with the youngest ones first for a couple of days, and then when they're in their prime, then the big males move in. So they do fight a little bit for females, but otherwise there is no dominancy. Yeah, definitely they were on a mission to cross the road. They have, and they're all out in the open now. It was such a treat to see them cross and also head out towards the plains. And I'm gonna try and move on, see if I can find something else. Let's take you to another live location.
Great, so we were in search in this area, checking around. We were trekking on a leopard, which I think was a Shidulu. She came into the area and she went back across to the west again. So there's no sign of other tracks anywhere else. Come to this now Gari Dam just to see what could be around. There's been a lot of elephants, tracks everywhere in this area, but you know, it could be that they're actually still in a thicket right now. They haven't actually come into the waterhole to drink. But we'll find out when we get to the Gari Dam. It's actually best time for an animal to be able to drink this time because it's not yet very, very hot. Well, it's going to be actually getting too much hot in midday, where most of them you find they will be in shade and they're just resting, chewing their cud. Elephants, same things, you know, they don't chew cud, but they will be also stationary under the shade in these very beautiful marula trees, which are all leaves and they're all covered green. And yeah, there's quite a lot of plan that can actually catch, but this is all just cooled off. I'm gonna just quickly down to the waterhole quickly.
We have the most amazing views on the highway, the Northern Highway. A brown snake eagle perched on a tree that I have never seen a bird perch in 2 years here. I've always wanted to see a bird in this tree. I think it's a young one, judging by the coloration of the plumage and the size. It's like a sub-adult, if you like. And look at those bare little leggies. It almost looks like you've caught him in a state of undress. He's not quite fully dressed yet. He's not put his pants on. But from a distance, and I'm talking a far distance, you immediately see raptor. But that's all you see. Birds can be really challenging, and I actually quite like the challenge myself. But you've got to get closer and start to pick out the key features. And once you do get closer, and your eyes can see, bare leggies immediately, you know it's a snake eagle. And I know we always say that, but you do. And I think it's definitely an immature one, just from the sort of fluffy appearance and the sort of bedhead look of the feathers. And the plumage is not entirely brown. Normally the adults have a complete brown plumage. They don't have colour morphs like tawny eagles do. And this sort of immature phase, I can't tell exactly what phase it is, but I would say sort of sub-adult-ish, if that's the right term. Their feathers do look like exactly what it looks like now. And that yellow eye is a real giveaway. Isn't this just the most wonderful view? Now, we obviously have the Big Five out here, which was a hunting term long ago, but it's very much became a sort of ecotourism term and just a popular term for the big animals that everyone wants to see. It's lost that sort of hunting connotations. You now get the little five, you get the Big Five in the ocean, you now get the little five in the ocean, yes. And you get the Big Three on the birds of the raptors. And when it comes to raptors, unfortunately, brown snake eagles don't cut it, but the big... Do you hear me? The Big Three in terms of your big raptors is your Verreaux's eagle, your Marshall eagle, one of my favourites, and your African crowned eagle. That's your Big Three when it comes to raptors. And although the beak is incredible,
Sorry, Maury. Oh, we still, we were mentioning that earlier, that we come to the dam, Gari Dam here, where also mentioned there's quite a lot of elephant tracks all over, but no sign of them. There's 2 of them coming down to drink, which is very good. It was actually a good call that we came down this way. But this is actually the bull. I'm not sure if it's the one we saw early this morning, because it was quite a few sound from the way distances, which means was more of them. Just gonna see if he's gonna come down to drink. The other one on the far left is already in the water. I think this one is gonna do the same. There's the other one already taking a drink. So it's always a sign that could be heard somewhere, or these male that could be behind a herd. Sorry, just gonna move a little bit forward. Okay. Just to give a little bit of a space for Neil to get through. This one is already taking a drink, so that trunk can hold anything from 9 to 12 liters a time, especially for a big elephant like that there. And it's actually going to be like what is yesterday, but could be a little slightly less. Just going to take this moment of a silence. So much beautiful calls of birds around us as well. Just so great and amazing sometimes time of the morning like this, where animals usually, whenever they're around a water hole, sometimes also water birds as well, they're always around a water hole, all different kinds of birds, all the melody sound that you actually could hear from the background. These birds are focusing on to drink, or some of them have already taken that drink. They're more likely to communicate all day long when they're well hidden in one of these thick trees for a shadow. Just hide away from the heat. Good. Tiny, you want to know how big is an elephant feet? I can't tell you how big it is, but looking at the big animals, judging from their body size, which that animals weigh 6 ton full grown elephant, female around 3.5 ton to 4 tons. So all these 4 feet they got, it's all about supporting their body weight. So it could be very big and then wide enough to able to support the weight of that animal. And the trunk, I know for sure, length could be anything from 6 or 7 foot long, but supported by more than 65 or 70,000 muscles in that animal. So what's a waste? Sometimes you just pour waters on them, suck waters, drink. Half of the water just spit it off. Elephants like water in this weather condition like this. When you're lucky enough, you're more likely to see them swim, and they're actually very good swimmer as well. Center. I don't think so they get terrible sunburn, but their body temperatures get overheat from the heat as well, from the sun. And of course they have a very rough skin, but enough layer of a skin. And then it's not actually very sensitive to the heat at all, like what you see on a hippos. Understanding that both species, their skin, not a lot of hair on them, but with elephant specifically, and these type of rhinos, no, they don't actually get terrible burn that you see on the hippos as well. But for them to able to need a lot of water for cool off is that, they once then it's too much hot. And that's where you would be able to see them use their ears pretty much every now and then when a hot day takes place. Flap ears, it helps a little bit of fend off or cool off. The veins, which is, they have a massive blood vessel that runs from their heart all the way across the neck to the position of their head. And then, lucky enough, they have these ears. When they do that, these ears will be able to cool off the whole entire body. So, myself and Neil, we're going to take another moment here to see if there's another herd arriving. Otherwise, we're going to move on if there's nothing happening.
Well, we are in the presence of the most obliging giraffe I've ever met in my entire life. He was posed beautifully under a marula tree for about, BK, 7 minutes or so. Thankfully, he didn't move out of sight. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is BK, as I said, and we are here at Pridelands, which is part of MULLER Game Reserve and the Greater Kruger National Park. But it's been a very, very hot morning. BK and I have been suffering the last 2 days from the heat, so we've decided we will only be showing you animals that we can see when we're in the shade. So we'll be sitting here for the rest of the morning, hoping that some more giraffe and hopefully zebra and a dung beetle and anything that you can think of, a bird, will just pop out in this little patch where we have signal and shade. But it's a big male, it's just feeding on what looks like he's eating a little mobthorn now. But there's lots and lots of giraffe. It's quite funny, as all the breeding herds of elephants have moved away, swarms of giraffe have come on in, so this is the place to be if you're quite partial to these tall creatures. Is that delicious? I kid you not. How many giraffe do you think we've seen today, BK? More than 15. I think even more than that. I think closer to 30 giraffe at least. But they're also all trying to find the tallest of tall trees, and I'm going to show you. BK, I don't know if you can see straight in front of the vehicle all the way across on the other side of Leopard Dam. They are just, I don't know if I'm pointing in the right direction, somewhere there. There are actually 2 giraffe. There's a whole bunch of giraffe, like I said. They are desperate for the shade. I don't know what the temperature is right now, but I mean, it's just, is it even 8 o'clock yet? Not even 8 o'clock in the morning. And I reckon it's at least 28 or 29 degrees Celsius. And it's difficult for these animals to try and keep themselves cool. Obviously, they're not like the elephants that you were just watching that can splash.
Well, he just did it. One zebra just crossed. I don't know what to say, but I was very, very lucky to see that. He just crossed, and there's another. If the mate is going to come across this way, it can be very interesting, because it could be that well, stay in the river a little bit long.
I'm not quite sure what I was telling you about, but I think that just what giraffe is, unfortunately, they cannot roll around and splash about in the water. Where are our animals gone? Have you seen one? What else have you got? Because on, oh, there, the giraffe is there again. And he's just feeding around. So it must be quite hard for them. So you can see he's literally not necessarily maybe feeding on his favorite tree today, but he's definitely feeding on the northern side of the tree to try, or maybe the northwestern side of the tree, to try and keep away from the shade. And that's literally everything, or that's what every single one of these giraffe are doing that are standing around us. There must be about 10 or so here, and not one of them are standing directly in the sun and feeding on the opposite side of the tree. Now, obviously, I'm sure you've all heard the theory of how certain plant species can communicate via pheromones, and they'll tell one another when they're being attacked or when they're being eaten by browsers, and that can help with turning the leaves a bit bitter with all the, so increasing the tannin production, and then it becomes a bit unpalatable for, say, something like a giraffe to eat. So that might be it. I can't really tell what direction the wind is blowing, but I definitely think it's got something to do with the sun. So I think that they'll be feeding on that side of the tree all day long. Yes, you better move, buddy. You got a bit of sunshine on your face now. It can't be too good. But they're covered in hair, so they're not super susceptible to a sunburn like we are. Here he goes, moving on to the next one, and then, of course, out of view. But it is really nice to see the big giraffe. Something that I'm looking forward to, and I'm hoping that we are going to be able to see, I haven't seen it for ages, is some necking to male giraffe, battling it out, you know, for dominance. But we'll keep an eye out for that. It seems to be lots and lots of females around. Calves, though, 1 or 2 little calves here and there, but that's really it. I was hoping that while we sat here that the Egyptian geese would come out, but they've also underneath a bush looking for shade because the goslings are growing up quite quickly, so we'll just watch that giraffe on the other side. But
a very nice morning. Yeah, all the insects, all the cicadas, all the sorts of things going crazy, but we will wait here for a little bit longer to see what else crosses our path.
Welcome back to our cheetahs. It looks like the males are starting to get the gist that nothing will be happening here. One of the males just on the outskirts of the bush where the female is hiding together with her cubs. The one male is still trying to suss an entrance in, but obviously the other is just on the outskirts there, just almost giving up, or just resting for now. So it looks like the activity of the morning is gonna start settling down a little bit. Every now and then you see him snoozing or closing his eyes there. So he's kind of maybe getting the gist. So yeah, let's see what happens. There we go. Taking a breather. It's not giving up. It'll go back and forth, this whole activity of the males trying their luck. And obviously the one that's trying to get in, that we're not seeing now, is probably the most dominant of the two. That's why he would be more persistent than the guy that is taking a snooze here. So the collision would also be very important. That's why there's two of them as boys keeping up and doing everything together. He would also be on guard for the other male. So that's the importance of having them together as a collision. And dominancy will always alternate between them. Look at that. It's just picked up on something. Senses are always active. Maybe it wasn't something of interest. And a bit of a snooze again. But the ears are fully alert. Smelling also would still be active. So whatever they pick up, look at flicking the ears there. Heard something. The wind could also be carrying sounds from afar, because there is a bit of wind here, so they could be hearing things a little bit far than they would on the ordinary. Sean, what would prompt them to leave? Assuming you're asking about the males, what would prompt the males to leave? So there's a few things that could happen here. If they keep trying and seeing that the female is actually standing her ground and it's not working, over time they'll get the message that yes, it's not worth it, and they'll actually continue and pursue other females that could be within their vicinity if they do pick up pheromones or so on. The other thing that could happen, which it's not likely now, but it's a possibility that sometimes it could happen. If there's another collision of males that would come here and then challenge them, then that would be very interesting. And if those males are bigger and stronger, it would drive these males off. So that would be one other thing that would veer them off. There are possibilities that there are other things that could veer them off. So I'm just mentioning possibilities here. So one is giving up, like I've just mentioned, and the other would be competition from other males, veering them off. Or the female deciding to actually make way and leave the boys and get away from the boys. And that would actually be running away and getting the cubs away also. So you'll see they'll actually make an attempt to run and get away from the boys. So those are just a few examples of what could split this whole situation here. For things like this to eventually unfold and actually end, it's a process. I mean, it takes time. Sometimes this could go for a few minutes, a couple of hours, the whole morning. So, yeah, it's always nice to see how it will unfold. I think for now they're going to be doing pretty much what this male is doing, a little bit of sleeping. So in that case, we're going to be moving on and see what else we can try find for the remainder of the morning.
Wonderful. Cheetahs are awesome animals to see, especially in one of these open area where they like to be. And we decided to wait a bit here in this Kalahari Dam to see what these two young male, what they're up to. They also haven't disappeared from us. They're still there, and they're all just now muddy. Just because they were trying to go down on their knees and get themselves dirty, but it's a way of cooling off. Prevent a parasite as well. When they're covered with mud, it's always so important for these animals. You know, find a beautiful, decent trees that will rub against that. Especially on their backside where there is it's out of reach. Only the tail will deal with whole parasite and everything, but when they're kind of wet like this on their backside, they'll find their trees and they will rub against that. All you see just to look away from the trees and they rub their backside. And when they do that, these muddy, since it's wet, they plaster these folders, which is not easy anymore for the parasite to disturb them, lay the eggs in these folders. There's a blacksmith lapwings, also in the area right there, just on the background, not close at all, but elephants, they're one of the animals, especially in a herd. Caroline, you want to know the difference from male and a female's elephant. So it's, well, one thing, first things, females, they're slightly smaller compared to the male. And they tuskers, structures, they don't grow thicker tuskers, the females. They grow always very thinner tusker. What you see on these male over here, these tusks are way too thick compared to the female. But also the head structures for the females very different to male, which the female, they have a square head, where male would have a round head. That's the only way you can tell, but there's an easy way you can tell when they pose enough for you. Males sometimes are all displayed very well under the back leg, and then you're able to tell quickly. But for sure, every time you see single elephant, mainly males do that. They sometimes stay away from the females, move on their own. Yeah, that gas coming out of their back. This is what happened with the single chamber stomach animal. Horses, zebras also do that, pass gas on their back, especially when they get frightened, trying to run away immediately. All is inside is the air. They're having a good of each other. They, just touch playing. Look at that length of the ear. Sometimes can be about nearly a meter from across to the top to the bottom for the big elephant. So like I mentioned, we at Gari Dams, all you see there close to one of the room there, there's nothing here. The whole herd isn't actually, I'm not sure where they are. We're probably going to go try find them. And then, I'm going to probably move on from here.
I have arrived to the Sedgwick house, Mrs. Wigg's house. I have a funny feeling she's struggling with the heat too. Just an update for you all on the temperature is 85 degrees Celsius and 100 million degrees Fahrenheit already at 8 o'clock in the morning. I think James Hendry described it as it felt like a piece of the sun had fallen out of the sky yesterday and landed in his lap. And I honestly cannot think of a better description. So I'm going to copy exactly what James said. And we have the rest of the day to go. Okay, complaining is over. I'm done complaining. Do not judge my shiny face, but I have diagram of today. Now, I'm doing this just to give you the development from a very detailed book of a man that actually kept a chick and day by day drew the chick and gave information on the chick. So I think we're a few days out. I really do, but still, I'm going to show you the development process for day 8. Excuse my drawings. I saw many of you say it's a copyright issue. It's not a copyright issue. I just don't own the book. It belongs to my friend in Johannesburg. So that's why I decided to draw. That's all. So, this is for day 8. So from day 7 to day 8, there's quite a remarkable change according to this book. And it says the mesophile feathers emerge very rapidly, thus reducing the amount of bare skin visible. So you don't really see those patches of bare skin anymore. And that allows the plumage to start looking much thicker and denser. And it's not very dense at all, but it gives the appearance of being so. And just here, I'm going to try and balance this. Sorry. You can see I've drawn slight barring will be visible on the head and on the wings, apparently, at day 8. So the barring is only really visible on the well-developed areas. Now, I love this description from the book referring to this diagram here. Most of the time is spent sleeping in a variety of grotesque attitudes. I love that. Not my words, but I love that. Sorry, and just down here on the last diagram, so the chick is not able to stand, and I think James had a really good view of it the other day alone. And although it's upright, it's managing to hold its head, which is disproportionately large, and its spine upright. It's only able to hold itself in that position because it's what we would call squatting. It can't stand upright. It's squatting. It's not stretched out the legs properly. And here you will see that it will start to stretch the wings. Now, this is probably just to develop the muscles. It's obviously not going to take off and fly anywhere right now, in case you were wondering. But it will lie down, because if it stands upright in that squatting position, opening the wings will sort of throw it off balance and it'll fall over. So that's my diagrams for today. But obviously we're on the 9th of November now, I believe, and we found it on the 1st. So I think the chick is around 10 or 11 days. I think we're a few days out. But of course, once we start to see it on its own without mom, we'll get a better indication. So the next time you see me on drive, I will have day 9. Sorry for putting you all through my awful artistic work, but I just think it's really interesting from a man that actually kept a chick and just literally jotted down the development day by day by day and drew it. I think it's really, really fantastic. So we're getting there. We're getting there. So I think it maybe hatched a day or two prior to the 1st. So we're really not far behind. I'm still convinced it's not quite at the 2-week mark. But again, I could be wrong. And again, we're not really getting the best views of it since Mum's here. Mum looks like she's doing the best to nestle into any form of shade that she can find. And of course, I will continue my daily visits to the wig house and we'll keep following the development of this little chick.
Yes, here I am with a beautiful herd of boys. I call it the boys club. It's all mate. It's all males. You know, corner here. They're all males, as you can see, all hunts. It is normal to find this kind of herd every now and then, especially when a hierarchy has to be found. You find them together like this. We call it a bachelor herd. I call it the boys club. And what they're doing there is sparring, checking out their strength, sharpening their, fighting skills. Whoever comes out the best usually has got a chance to have a harem. He goes out and about to find a female, a male with females, and usually the male will try and defend the females. Then a fight ensues. Whoever wins takes over the girls. So this is like being to a gym, perfecting fighting skills, and also climbing to the top. Eating without stress. Of course, there is a bit. You have to watch out for those predators. This is the impala. A very good number of them, as you can see, spread out everywhere. It's all a male's affair. Many of them are chewing their cud after good feeding early in the morning. The big guy you see here, this guy has got a high chance of taking over because he's much bigger. And in fighting, I'm sure he has gone through that. It looks like he's dozing a little bit. Most of these animals sleep standing. They do lie down, but not for very long. It's very dangerous. So they're constantly looking out, making sure there's no predators approaching. The impalas are well adapted in the harsh conditions. They can feed on leaves, and also good conditions, they will feed on grass. So at the moment, they're doing really, really well. The reason they're facing in one direction, I'm not sure. There could have been a threat earlier, but it went past through, so they're still facing in that direction, but I don't see anything at the moment. It's a good spot to doze off, as you can see there. That guy is definitely fast asleep. Only his mouth is working. You know, those insects are really disturbing. Apart from them, I think he would fall asleep. Definitely, you can tell he's dozed off while eating. Well, he's taking advantage of everybody else being around. It is easy, because if there is danger, they will tell him. They'll make an alarm call, and he'll wake up and maybe run towards the predator. That is the wrong side of things, you know. Everything is perfect until he runs towards the predator because he was asleep. Well, could do that, and then everybody else will survive. It does happen every now and then. One has to die for everybody else to survive. These guys live up to around 9 to 12 years. You can imagine their day is like, you know, a year for us, because they're on the lookout full time. And they reach maturity at the age of 3 is when a male is fully grown and ready to mate. Females about 1.5. Okay, I think we have another bachelor herd of buffalo that want to join in. Looks like they're on a mission. They're heading somewhere. Yeah, definitely those are males. I can tell by the size of their horns, plus the boss, the middle of the horns. Usually they have a favorite area where they retire to that's got water, cover, and plenty of grass. And this could be one of the areas where that is. You can tell, you know, they're old guys. Can be very grumpy. They look slow, but I tell you, they can run really fast, 60 kilometers an hour. And they have a temper. Yeah, very, very bad temper. You can tell that their horns are different from one to the other. They differ. And also, I think that is genetic. Different families, they're different. That's why they have different kind of horns. Yeah, it's a beautiful setting. The weather is perfect, not hot at all. And so everybody's enjoying the weather. It looks like they can see the buffalo coming, and so they are moving off to the right, give way to the big guys. Definitely, I think they can sense that. But the guys, looks like they're slowing down. Yeah, you have to leave the path. They're not very active, but when the urge comes, there'll be a lot of fighting, and whoever becomes the victor breaks off and goes, challenges a male with a harem. Once they are with the harem, they do lots of mating with all the females in season. Also try to chase away other males that try to intrude and take over the females. You know, giving them very minimal time to graze or browse, hence making them very weak. And so the tenure only lasts about 10 to 14 days. My guy here is still very fast asleep. Yeah, imagine sleep standing. I don't think how pleasant it is. I don't know how. Yeah. Looks like they love this spot. It's short grass, so they can see all around. Nothing to worry about. Perfect to take a doze. catch that much needed sleep. These guys, the buffaloes, I think they are looking for a wallow, somewhere they can wallow. It's getting hot. They love adding an extra layer of soil onto their skins. And I think that's what they're looking, or maybe they're looking for some water. I'm gonna try and get close to them, see if there is water there. They always know different areas that have got water, and so they'll walk towards these areas to get a good drink of water, or maybe they're looking for a certain type of grass. Well, there is a bit of water. I don't know if they're gonna wallow. They're enjoying the grass. And plenty of shrubs. Well, maybe he has to do some homekeeping, some housekeeping, has to eat a little bit of the grass surrounding the place where he wants to wallow. Yeah, the middle of the horns, that's what we call the boss. It's solid bone to protect the brain due to impact when fighting, and they know how to use those horns. Okay, it doesn't really like my sound, my voice. Remember, these guys are very dangerous and can attack without warning, although I think he's much more afraid of me now than I am of him. What are you thinking? You wanna come? Wanna hit me? Yeah, definitely very good looking, very healthy. This is a bull you don't wanna mess around with. They are not happy at all with our presence. And he's actually making the other ones irritated. There's one with very interesting horns. I don't know if you see him over there, Bungay. Yeah, look at those. Wow, I like those. Okay, maybe he doesn't want to be seen again by us. Yeah, this guy is not happy at all. Yeah, the good thing is there is a ditch, so he's not able to come. What are you thinking? We mean no harm. Okay, I think the best thing for me to do is to leave them. I don't want to irritate them anymore. He looks not happy at all. So let me leave him. So next time he can allow me to get closer. Well, they have been known to attack without warning. And I have seen that. Very, very aggressive. And they're very cheeky. When you're walking, if you don't see them, they normally stay very still and give you a run for your money. So you have to be very careful if you have to walk in places like here in the Masai Mara. Yeah, it's warming up, it's beautiful. Just the right weather to be out here game driving. This is the area where we frequented almost every day in the months of August and early September due to all the wildebeest and zebra crossings that we had, because some crossings are spotted over here. and then I do come see if I can find something. Anyway, let me continue on. Let's take you to another live location.
Welcome back to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. When last you were with us, we had that beautiful family of warthog, and we've come across a lovely little pan of water. And as you can see, we've got our African wattled lapwing right there in front. It's looking beautiful at the moment. Now, how we ID this bird is if you have a look closely, you can see the very prominent wattle, first and foremost, the most identifying feature. You see that very prominent wattle, yellow wattle in the front. It's not the most distinguishing feature or the only one that you can identify, because we also have a white-crowned lapwing which also has the same sort of yellow wattle. But the next is the white crown on the top of the head, and you can see a little bit of red in between those two. And also very unique to this bird is that streaking right down the front there. You can hear it calling at the moment. Oh, this is magnificent. Just above us, we actually have two black-chested snake eagles displaying. How unbelievable is that, hey? While you sit quietly in the bush, things just happen right in front of you.
This will be some people's biggest fear. So if it is, look away now. I'm going to stand up first. Look at the size of this thing. Now, I'm not a large human for sure, but when better be careful what I'm doing here. When I put out my arm, it's almost as tall as me. Now, a poor little grasshopper just got stuck. Now, it's still alive, and it's struggling. And these spiders, community nest spiders right here on this side, are waiting. They're waiting for it to stop struggling. They're waiting for death. Now, there's absolutely hundreds of them. There are thousands in here. I really honestly believe the closer you look, this nest is actually structured, way more structured than it looks. It's messy, but if you go really, really close in here, I can't believe I'm actually doing this, there's little compartments, there's little cubby holes. They've got a kitchen, they've got lots of bedrooms, they've got an attic, they've got a games room. But in all seriousness, there's lots of compartments. Now, the females, as with most spiders, arachnids, are much larger, and therefore the males spend most of their life just avoiding the females. They know they have to deliver their sperm, they know they have to mate, but they've just got to avoid. The females are bigger, they're angry, they get hungry, and, well, you all know what happens when females get hungry. It's not often you see them out. Now, there's spiders down here, there's here. You see them all crawling out of the epicenter here. This is the hubbub. This is where everything happens. And this grasshopper keeps struggling, and unfortunately, it's just getting worse and worse. And obviously, I'm tempted to break it free, but we really, really shouldn't tamper with anything in nature. This is how strong spider silk really is. It comes from an organ called spinnerets. And you can see this silk not only holds this entire collection of debris together, it holds the weight of all of these spiders and all of the prey that, well, hops or flies into the web. Now, I'm going to get up so I can get back in comms, but we're going to keep looking at all these spiders. Now, luckily, for me at least, the community nest spiders are one of the smallest. They don't reach sizes like the golden orbs do, but they are still very ferocious carnivores. Now, the silk that's produced from the spinnerets is made from proteins, lots of different proteins, and it's incredibly strong, especially when you put it proportional to us. So a web that size, for human terms, that we could all live inside, could be built from this silk. It is incredibly strong. And there's different, so spinnerets actually have special glands that release the protein, and there's different types of glands. I think there's 7 in most spiders that release different types of silk. Not all silk is the same. It's basically from protein that's built up from amino acids. And it's said to be 5 times stronger than steel and twice as strong as Kevlar, if the same weight. Another fact is that silk can actually stretch about 30% longer than the original length without breaking. So it's very resilient, it's tough. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh, I came here with quite a severe phobia of spiders, arachnophobia. And I think it's safe to say I'm well and truly over it. I forced myself to sort of find a deep appreciation for these animals, and I did. They're incredible. Their survival techniques are really incredible. I can imagine many of you are not looking at the screen right now, and I do understand why, but they're very fundamental to the ecosystem out here, spiders. All spiders are venomous. They just don't all have the ability to inject their venom in some way, shape, or form to others. So not all spiders are dangerous to us, but they can be dangerous to other organisms out here due to the venom. They have to be able to inject venom somehow using a tail, a sting, fangs. Venom must be injected. I can't wait till the golden orb spiders come back out, really, I can't. Okay, so this wonderful segment is about to end, so those looking away, give it a few seconds and you can come back again.
Good luck, Lauren, with looking around for sun. And, you know, just on the edge far east of Gary Dam here, we just spotted the noble duck. But you see there's 2 females and a male. Quite easy to tell because he's growing this now knob just above that beak. And also that knob, sometimes it grows quite big during the breeding season, which is now. And when it's no breeding season, it's settled down, but you still see a little bit of it. It seems all of them are just, trying to take a nap. Most of the dogs, they do that, and they bend their necks, but now they're well alert because of I'm not sure what's going on in the background. Looks like maybe squirrel fighting. But yeah, they bend their neck, and then all they do is just push their beak into their wings, and take it easy like that. One eye on look, another one on a look on the other side. So they're still well protected, knowing what's going on around them. You always find them around a lake, puddle of water, but during a wet. Not like Egyptian geese is here, where you see them all year round. Dry season, wet season. These are only available when it's wet. They mainly feed around the water. You find them sometimes far off the dry land, but during the summer they're always close to waterhole. It's amazing when they feed, they feed like they drink water, but they separate the dirty and what they feed on. Sometimes they go for very short, soft vegetation around these lakes. Now the difference is, now there is 2 females against 1 male. One Egyptian geese, they're mainly pair, male and a female. And these hardly hear them make some sort of like noises, unless when they get disturbed. In a nest, use tree holes or old hammerkop nest. As long as it's a hammerkop bird is not there, then I will use it. Then all melody sound that coming out from the background, that's a crested francolin. And I haven't coming down to drink yet here. Oh, they have done already. These crested francolin, they're amazing on making sound, which it's got to be 2 of them, even they're far apart. But the sound, comes and join up, and the instrumental comes out beautifully. It just looks like, or sound like one bird, but it's not. Yeah, there is a system here, monogamous, but breed with and a female. Sometimes you find male with a lot of female, 3-4 female. Sort of a system that's going on. There's impala in the background. Looks like also they're going to come to drink. So one male would dominate 4 females, 5 females sometimes. When it comes to that, it's quite a lot of fight when the other male will push in too much to his girls, but it's got to be a winning situation until somebody take over these females. It's a beautiful impala group there. They're going to, arrive in that position of these dark. And they're so lucky because they already now know these birds are very chill here. It could be safe for them to just arrive and drink. Okay, I'm going to take another maybe 5 minutes here, see what happened, what could be behind the impalas.
So we're exploring a bit more in the southern part of the reserve. So we went up all the way to see if there's any tracks or signs of the lions, but it seems to me they might have gone furthermore north of the reserve, so area where we don't have too great a signal because of how dense it is and the area that you're actually driving in. So we decided to change our plan a little bit and head more to the southern part, where it's also nice and few, or there's quite a few open areas where we are looking out for possibly other lions like the ones we saw.
Welcome back to and beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. We've just left that wonderful sighting of the African wattle lapwing and those beautiful black-chested snake eagles doing a mating display. We found some more birds. You can see we've got some barn swallows that are busy pruning themselves. You can see them dipping their heads underneath those wings and just cleaning there, giving themselves a good clean. Now if we have a look, we've got 3 here. Now the one on the right, you can see it's got that wonderful rufous color, absolutely stunning. And then the one to the left, you see it's just quite a bit paler. And in fact, that's a juvenile. It's starting to starting to change. You know, before it was probably very pale all the way down the breast as well. But now you can just see the forehead and just below the throat. It's that lovely little pale color. And they're actually normally in quite big flocks. Before we became live, there were quite a few here. Most of them have flown, but you see these 3 are still very much in the stages of cleaning themselves. Amazing, actually, as they're turning their heads, you can see those down feathers that are just below sort of those colorful feathers on top. You actually see how many they have. Lovely to see those little gaps of white. What you can hear in the distance there, you can hear European bee-eaters calling periodically. Not right now, they've just stopped. You can hear black-crowned shagrat, that's that one that's going. And rattling cesticular, that's the one that's going choo-choo, choo-choo. Sorry, my bird impersonations are quite shocking. Lovely to see these barn swallows again. There's another one coming into view. You can see compared to the juvenile, also has longer back tail feathers. Now that's often a distinguishing feature between the males and the females, although not so much during their out of their breeding season in the summer months. But if we're having a look, I don't know if it's just the angle, but it does look like the one on the left does have slightly shorter back tail feathers. Now if we compare those two, it does seem that it's slightly shorter, so perhaps that one on the far left now is a male and the one just behind is a female. We've got a European bee-eater in the background again. Seems that they are catching some things on the wing. It's been so wonderful, the bird life in the area at the moment, because you know it's been a while since we've had all our migratory species back. It's been really lovely to see them again. Sometimes just wonderful to stop and listen to the sounds around you and sort of appreciate the peace and quiet of the African bushveld. Seems that most of them have flown off now, so we are going to leave them in peace and enjoy what's left of our morning.
Beautiful, I agree that. We've been sitting here in this very waterhole here, Kari Dam. Well, we've seen quite a few different species coming down to drink. The elephants came down, now impalas, now kudu, also no bull duck, some Egyptian geese is always around. All beautiful sounds coming from a different area. It brings quite a lot of a beautiful day, and the end of the day, it's just going to be beautiful. Look at just a female kudu come down there and drink amongst the impala. And they're all antelopes. There's no need for them to push one another. There's not such a competition when it comes to the food. Kudu are more likely browser, feeding from very slightly high trees. Where impala, they're mixed feeder, they can browse, they can graze. Look at these oxpecker almost getting inside to these females' ears. And they do important role. The oxpeckers, all they deal with a parasite. In a second, kudu arrive. Benjamin, 4 years old, welcome to your beautiful African, would say rise, but it's already getting warm. And yeah, they, in this dam here, Kari Dam, I know they usually few hippo was a one hippo that sometimes is available here, but now not. It's probably not here. I've been here for like maybe half an hour already. I haven't seen any glimpse of it. And then it's been a while since I've seen crocodile here. And the crocodile, we have them in sands in this area of reserve. And then I know there's quite a few of them in one of the big lake, which is in Afara, southeast of us, but not in this dam here. You see interesting things that are now happening here. So you're looking at the two different species of antelope. There's a new species that arrived. And with a little bit of yellow compared to this kudu, these are Nyala, Nyala. All female Nyala, they're taking a drink. And a young male kudu, who is just above a year old. That, I think, year and a half, somewhere there. With his horn started to do kind of one turn up. It's going to be beautiful ridge growing underneath of his chin, neck. There's a little hairy hanging ridge. That what it display difference. Especially being a male, female don't have them that. Everybody's kind of very much comfortable here because all unite of a different species of antelopes. And then I'm all just going to take it easy. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit here to see who else next to arrive.
Some bat-eared foxes, guys. Wow, it looks like a little family there. Look at that. Very huge ears. They're all puffed up. It's getting a little bit windy and a little bit cold. But these guys would be just finishing up their night, being nocturnal, going for the little insects coming out at night. There we are, just repositioning there for you guys. A little bit shy this morning, bit of an itch there, but they would go for little termites that would be coming out at night, as I was saying. So just now finding a place to hide from this wind and so on. Just see if they do come out in that little gap there. No, maybe just went down. We'll try reposition once more. Seems to be moving slightly away from us, being a little bit shy, but let's see what this angle will give us. Yeah, not very keen this morning. So off they go. We'll try again, but that was a good find. Finding these nocturnal bat-eared foxes. One of the two foxes that we actually do have in the reserve. The other species that we do have here is your Cape fox, which is slightly smaller, more brown or red in coloration as to these guys. A little bit different in the sense that he would go for things like lizards and so on, where these guys actually at times would even forage on fruits and so on. So yeah, a very good find this morning. Let's see.
Well, how incredible how special to see bat-eared foxes down at Tswalu Kalahari. That's such a special sighting. So just to give everyone an idea again, because we went to quite a dense area where, because we are in the African bush, there wasn't a lot of signal, but we're out of it again, and we are crossing into some open areas. Now, as I mentioned, some of the predators, because it is warming up, could most likely start moving into a bit of shade to rest up for the majority of the day. So now we are changing our search and trying to see past some of these water holes if there's a chance of maybe some elephants or herds of buffalo or even giraffes coming down to drink. Might be some of the other animals as well, like the wildebeest, zebra. So they tend to drink when the predators are not necessarily moving as much in the warmer parts of the day. So that's possibly what we're going to be looking out for. But it is warming up quite nicely. I think it's going to be one of those close to 40 degrees Celsius days like we had yesterday and the day before, which is also nice. I mean, because it's a different time of the year. Also, as it warms up, more likely to find some things around the water. So it is a nice time of the day as well, even though it is warming up. I could just imagine even like a herd of elephants, especially now and going on into the middle of the day, might even go and find some of these big trees in the area and just go stand in the shade, maybe feed, have a bit of a rest, and then carry on. So there's some nice open areas coming up ahead here. The other day we saw an ostrich crossing over the road and headed into this open area. So who knows, maybe even the chance of an ostrich. So we'll keep a good look at it as we go. They prefer openish areas.
Great, so we're still in this very same position. Now we see what is coming out of the water, a water monitor lizard. And just coming out there, one of the female noble duck was inside the water, trying to actually charge on that bird as it's got out of the water. But now, before going into a thicket, it's just scanning up in the air for any danger. What it would prey on that lizard, usually it's a bird of prey, mainly martial eagle or any other type of raptor. Usually they also feed when they're in the water, but they do come out of the water just for when they want to. Sometimes they need to search for a different source of food, which in a dry land or outside of the water, then possible anything they can get, skink, centipede, millipede, this type of. When they're in this water, they feed on worms, pretty much mixed with mud and everything. But for a change, I think it's a good idea to come out of that water, since they spend a lot of water where they can swim around here also at night. So maybe they've been there for quite some time, doing it slow motion. Heading into that thicket. When I cross the road, they do that carefully. I think it's the same thing what is happening there. So they're actually visible and know for sure they're vulnerable to those who would hunt them. And all they move very smooth. And the only bad thing when I see a danger, they only freeze. Before they run into thick or covered. Sticking its actually tongues out. This is a way of hunting, so birds' eggs, chicks will be eaten as well.
We have butterfly of the day, who's been slightly challenging to get an idea of, sitting on the wild basil, my favorite plant out here. I love the wild basil. But let's just try and get an idea. It looked like a silver spotted grey at first, but now I'm not so sure. They're very fluttery. Solar powered, ectothermic, the sun is up, so it's time to get busy, very, very busy. If you're a butterfly, there's lots to do. If anyone's got an ID, let us know, please. Send it in. I also can't see the top side. Could be a silver spotted grey. Could also be a velvet spotted bubble blue, but I don't think so. It's got an orange spot at the back. It looks like a lone orange spot. Could also be a pea blue or a common smoky blue. Common smoky blues are the most common around here, so I'm wondering if that's what we had. Now, I'm not a butterfly genius. I do use an ID kit. Yes, I do. I think okay. I think I'm going to go with common smoky blue, which is one we've already got, so it's not a new one for the list, I'm afraid. But you butterfly experts out there, you know who you are. You tell me if I'm correct or not. We've actually spent the last 30 minutes trying to get butterflies on camera. It's no easy task. Oh, look at all the impalas over there, just positioning themselves in the shade, moving from shade to shade. It can be easy. And I mentioned the other day, but when you see males clashing at the moment, it's not rutting season, but the hormones, the secretions, the pheromones that are coming off the females right now can be rather confusing if you're a boy. And of course, those hormones associated with pregnancy, mammal pregnancy, the likes of estrogen, progesterone, all sorts of hormones and pheromones are being released into the air because the ewes are starting to drop the lambs. And when the males get wind of this, he can just get a little bit confused. He says, oh, I smell the ladies. Is it rutting season already? Let's fight. And that's what's happening. It's just a temporary thing. It's because there's all sorts of hormones coming off, being released from the females right now. But generally speaking, when the males are not confused, everybody's friends. Got a mixed herd here. And there'll be some cognitive awareness on the impala's part that when the lambs come, the predators come. There'll be an awareness of that. The larger the herd, the better right now for safety. I'm so looking forward to this afternoon's drive. I think we are going to melt. Shade will work though. It will work in keeping the animals cool. Marrying very soon. That's the life of being a herbivore and producing young that are remarkably precocial. Precocial means very, very well developed, if not overdeveloped, because they've got to be able to evade predators. Imagine if all the impala produced altricial young, just like predators do, whose eyes are closed and they've got no hair covering their body. They can't move, their muscles are weak. No impala young would survive. They have to have a means of escaping the predator. So within minutes, they're standing on their feet, albeit a little bit wobbly. And within half an hour, they're walking. Within the hour, I'm pretty sure they're very much keeping up with mom. And they have to. And that's why they have a slightly longer gestation period than the predators themselves, because there's a lot more development taking place. It's normally about 6.5 months for an impala. So talking of shade, that's exactly where we're headed.
Well done, Lauren. So now we discover a new species of bird that just arrived here. It's called red-billed quilly. Quite a few of them, they're arriving in a piece of branches. They stay in the flocks, big numbers sometimes of whole tons of birds. And they feed on grass seeds, mostly in the open area, where the tall grasses. It's where you mainly find them. They have such a beautiful red beak, tiny bird. But what you hear on the background also, it's all tree frogs. And they're all just flown off. But we still have what noble dark on the background. There's one still. This bird all coming down here, the whole idea of an attraction for water, coming down to drink. And at midday, they're all just going to be hidden in the thicket, in thick trees. And this is where you always find them, or sometimes heard them, hardly to find them. So it's always such a great idea to come around the waterhole and see what come down to drink. And since we're here, we discovered quite a few different species of, animal, such as impalas, kudus, started with that elephant. So everyone, we're coming in the end of our beautiful show of this morning, and I'm just going to say thank you very much for everyone, for the time that you had spent with us. It's been so great, and then hopefully we get to see you this afternoon, same time. Goodbye.